Welcome, 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 viewers. How y'all doing this evening? We are so glad you came over to join us on the Say It Sis platform. Good evening. My name is Rebecca Faith,
And my name is Santana Nicole.
and we are your founders of Say It Sis. The Say It Sis mission is always going to stay the same. We want to provide a platform for women to feel empowered, emboldened, and loved and encouraged most of all. So we just want to thank everybody for joining us. And I'm just so excited. Tana, take it away.
Listen, I am super, super excited about tonight's show. Like, I'm even more excited about tonight's guest, right? I've been trying to get this lady on the platform for a very long time. And she's coming to tell us and talk to us about something that we normally don't be feeling comfortable talking about. But we're going to get in there. We're going to pull some curtains back. We're going to examine some things. So, viewers, thank you so much. If you are watching our show from the Facebook group, I can tell you we've been trying to figure this thing out. We know that it's saying Facebook user, and we know that it's a lady behind it. So if you're watching from the group, make sure you put your little dash in your name, so we'll know and give you a shout out. I see all y'all saying hello, ladies, hello, hi. So we'll be pulling up your comments. Our guest tonight is excited. She will be answering questions that you all may have in the comments. So keep them coming. Keep them coming. Hey, Miss Angie. Tell me hello, beautiful ladies. Hey. Good evening. Oh, we got Kay came back. Hi, lady. How you doing? And then we got somebody saying beautiful queen. So absolutely, we're gonna have a great and awesome night. Becky, tell them a little bit about the show.
This show is about a little thing that may be a little bit taboo, but we're going to be talking about sex. It's Valentine's coming up. It's a new year. People want to take control of their sexual health and whatnot. And so why not talk about it on this platform in front of women that might have some questions or might need some advice. But before we even get into that, what I need everybody to do is to love, like, follow, subscribe on all our platforms. Find us in our Facebook group. Follow us on Facebook, our YouTube channel, Instagram, Twitter. We are everywhere that you may need assist. So take a moment, love, like, share, follow, subscribe, and invite all your friends, get all your aunties, your cousins, tell everybody come sit around this television and let's talk about sex, because that's what we're going to do tonight.
Absolutely. So like Becky said, if you're there, just make sure you go ahead and you share and you get everybody in here to watch this. And then at the end of the night, we are raffling off something very special. So you better make sure you stay to the end. All right. You got to get those typing fingers ready, because you're gonna have to figure out what we raffling off. And it's gonna be something great. And I'm sure that you all are going to enjoy it. So without further ado, we're not gonna take up much time. We're gonna go right into our guest speaker right after this quick Say It Sis commercial break. Well, again,
all right, everybody. Go ahead, Tana.
You're so excited, right? So again, tonight we have such an amazing guest on the platform tonight. Miss TYSHARRA is coming to educate us on sex. So don't be shy, y'all. She took the time out of her busy schedule to be here. Make sure that you ask as many questions as you want. We're talking about the health, the experience, and body image, right? So those things are super important. So absolutely get excited. Get excited.
Yes, ma'am. And not only is Miss TYSHARRA a business owner and a registered nurse, but she is also a creator of this awesome supplement that she's going to talk about, which is naked. She's a wife, she's a mother, she is a true epitome of a boss queen. So we know that she is going to answer these questions and give it to us sister girl style so that it's understandable for everybody at every level.
So without further ado, me and you gonna get off the screen, right? Because tonight is not about us, right? We're gonna actually bring up our special guest. Y'all give it up and show some hearts out there, y'all, for Miss TYSHARRA BELFON. Hi, ma'am.
Hi, ladies.
How
How
are
are
you doing?
you? Looking beautiful.
Thank you. We trying to get those tips from you, right? So we can keep it going. So welcome, to the platform, and thank you so much for being here with us, right? So viewers, please show her some love in the comments, right? We got somebody saying, hey ladies. Someone said, yes honey, I need all the help I can get. Okay, so Mr. Shire is definitely gonna help us out with that. And we got KK showing us some hearts, so keep those comments coming, y'all. Show her some love, make sure you give her some hearts as we go through tonight, right? So we're gonna jump right into it, right? So TYSHARRA, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. So, of course, my name is TYSHARRA BELFON. I'm a nurse practitioner. I am out of Miami, Florida, more so Cooper City, Florida, for those who are actually in the South Florida area, but for relations, it's close to Miami and Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So I've been a registered nurse for over 10 years, and I've been a nurse practitioner, and we actually have a med spa that I own, Med Spa Concierge Health and Weight Loss Center here in Cooper City. And like you guys mentioned, last year we launched our first supplement, which is Naked Health, the supplement, from our sister company, Naked Health and Beauty. And that supplement I'm so excited about because, as you guys know, I love everything that is about women empowerment, and really taking charge of our bodies and really being educated. And as a wife and as a mother and a mother of a daughter, it's so important that we not only talk the talk, but we actually walk the walk, and we actually, do things to enlighten and empower other women to live their most authentic lives. So Naked was a very interesting business venture, kind of like my first business venture, and everybody's kind of like, all right, well, but I always felt, the reason that I came out with that supplement was because, as a nurse practitioner in a primary care at the time, before I owned my own business, I would do a lot of PAPs and women's health and STD management. And of course, women of a particular age, typically our women in our 20s, our 30s, would gravitate towards me, and they would ask me questions that they were not very comfortable asking other women. And to someone else, not necessarily in that age range, older doctors, older providers, those women wouldn't be as comfortable opening up and really sharing something that, to most of us, you see a woman in her 20s, you just assume like, girl, go sit down, everything work, you ain't got no issues. But that's not true. Just like, any woman at different ages and stages of our lives, we change. We have hormonal imbalances. We go through different stages of our lives. And I just thought that, I have this platform, I have this group of women that are struggling, are going through something. Like, how can I impart my knowledge, my wisdom, and my passion for women and helping them throughout their stages of their lives, develop. So that's where the birth of Naked came from. And it's just been history ever since.
Nice.
That's awesome. So, I mean, how do you balance everything that's going on? You're a wife, you're a mother, you're a business owner, you taking care of patients on a day-to-day. How do you balance, or where do you find the balance?
Truthfully, honestly, I'm very honest. Every day is a new challenge. So for anyone that just says like they have it together, they have it balanced, it's all planned out, that's not real life. That's not real. Some days you feel like, okay, I got this. And then other days you're like, okay, I need a moment. So honestly, just really staying grounded in what you love. I feel like, that old cliche saying is, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And it's truly, honestly, the truth. I love what I do. I've been doing this since I never waver. So I'm pretty young in in relations to healthcare and owning a business and being a provider and all of those things. But I knew from 16, 17 years old that this was the path that I wanted to take. So I hopped on and I stayed the course. So I have my husband and I both have led very busy lives that our kids actually don't know any different, because my husband is a fire lieutenant. So he works and 24 hours on, and sometimes he works 48 hours, and our kids don't know any different. They're used to, they actually prefer this, because I used to work 12-hour shifts 3 or 4 days out of the week. So sometimes I would see them like while they're creeping into their bed. So even though they're busy, my kids understand, because we talk to them. They're at an age where they understand that we help people, and we're not just in a clock in, clock out type of job. We help people. We have people that depend on us, so they actually love it. My daughter, I don't know if y'all see her like bouncing around my Instagram all the time, my TikTok, but she she has her little lab coat, and she wants to be a businesswoman. She's coming out with her lip gloss line. She's a little upset that I didn't wear it tonight, but I was running out the house and I forgot to grab it. But just really balancing and making time for things that's important, and really having an understanding partner and an understanding family, and just having that time where you break away. This weekend we took a little staycation to the beach, and was able to let our hair down and have fun with the kids and break away for a moment. And that's just how I balance. I love what I do. I love my family. I love my kids, and we just make it do what it do. As women, we make it do what it do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's all we can do. I will say that I totally agree with you on the balance thing, because some days you got it, some days you don't. I feel like, I call it today, I feel accomplished.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Like I got what I thought I needed to get done. Absolutely. So thank you so much for sharing that beautiful story behind you basically went over what motivated you into what it is that you do, right? So let's jump right into the sexual health, the sex talk. Let's get into the spiciness of it. You know what I'm saying? So why is having sex or sexual health, I know they're two separate things, but if you could segue that together, why is that important?
Well, sexual health and sexuality, I think, is the way that we kind of accomplish everything that we're trying to say and how we feel. Our sexuality. So our sexuality is tied into so many things. It's not only sex, the act, because sex is just an act. And as women, we know that we're not wired like men. It's not just easily, hey, this is the act, let's do it. It's so many different things that go into that act and leading up to it. So I definitely believe that sexual health, sex, and sexuality are three things that are never going to be able to be unbound from each other. So when we discuss sex, again, that's the act of having sex, whatever your preference is in your life, of how you define sex, heterosexual, homosexual, whatever you're into, the act of having sex. Then when we talk about sexual health, we talk about those organs. And when I think of that, we think about the organs that, we use for that. We think about, our women part, and just making sure that we're keeping up on those things. That when we think of, everything that we use in the act of sex, we have our vaginas that we, obviously we use those. We have breasts, we have those things. So just keeping up on your sexual health, meaning making sure you're getting your pap smears, making sure you're getting your mammograms, making sure that, you're keen to knowing what's going on with your body, what's normal, what's not normal, what's normal discharge, what's not normal discharge, what's a normal odor, what's, ovulation, how do we handle that? So sexual health is much more than just saying like, okay, I get my pap. It's more so really engulfing yourself in the education of your body, how it functions, and making sure that you're really taking care of it, because you only get one body and you only get one chance to do it. So, and then sexuality is just how you feel. So I feel like, those things, the act, we have the health component, which is our organs and those things. And then we have sexuality, which I feel is the way that all of those things, when they're in tune and they're working, is how you feel. So,
all right. That was a lot.
Awesome.
Y'all better be taking notes. Y'all better be taking notes.
I know that's right. So at what age, because we did talk about like the health and then the act piece and the sexuality piece, at what age is kind of appropriate, or what is like the recommended age that we start talking to young women about sexual health in general?
I think that it's very important that you know your child, and we are as parents, not just as a provider, but as parents, you are realistic in the world that we live in, and we're realistic because now we have, it's a little bit different from when we were kids. We were a little bit more sheltered, naive, not so much exposed. So to still try and live in that world where you know you have that birds and the bees conversation when it's closer to puberty, I feel like is a little bit naive. I I don't feel like having an in-depth discussion about the birds and the bees is, you know, appropriate for a young child. But as a mom of a daughter and a son, I made sure that since they were old enough to understand, we had those conversations about what this body part is, what is it for, you know, all of those things that as a child that was instilled in me, because we put so much emphasis on, you know, just trying to protect our kids. But if we are leaving them ignorant to their bodies or ignorant to those things, then we're not really doing a good job of really protecting them if they don't know better. So I would say, you know, you have to understand your child, their developmental age, and what they can perceive and what they can understand. And you give them little bits and little bits. From 2 years old, you let them know what this is. You let them know what that is. You let them know who should be cleaning them, how someone should be cleaning them, what should they be using. When you get to an older age, when we're talking 5 and 6, these kids have feelings. It's not like, you know, you can't just say, oh yeah, you know, you don't know. That's naivety, because if they're feeling something, they should have a safe place with their parents, in their home, with their family, with their mother, especially of a daughter. They should have a safe place to say, mommy, this, and the other. And you should be able to be, as a parent, comfortable enough in your sexuality, comfortable enough in your expertise. And if you're not, reaching out to someone who can help you navigate that conversation with your child. It's not enough to just say, don't think about it, don't talk about it, because that's why we have so many generational misinformation, especially in the Black community, where it was like, hey, you can't talk about that, and now you're going to go get it from your friend's mom or your friend who parents may not be having that conversation with them, but they're exposed. So I believe in controlling the narrative of what your kids are taking in your home. So no, let's not talk about the act of sex, but we talked about earlier in the show that there's so many different components that go into sexuality, and children have feelings. They understand more than you give them credit for, and they're very smart, and unfortunately they're very exposed. So I would say a very good age is whenever you feel it in your heart, but I would say 2-3 years old, we need to have conversations about what this is, how to protect yourself, and when you should tell mommy or daddy that something's not right. And as they get older, as they approach 5 and 6, as they approach 8, 9, 10, as they're seeing things on TV, we should be having that open dialogue all the time. I talk to my 8-year-old. She's 8 years old. She'll be 9 this year. But I have that conversation with her about her period, you know, reproduction, because unfortunately, I'm not able to control when that era will happen for her. I have a niece that had her period at 10. My mom had her period at 9. It's something that you can't control. So instead of equipping her or having her scared for her life, or like trying to hide it or thinking something's wrong, we had that conversation that this is normal. This is how, you know, God created a woman's body to function. And when you get to certain ages, we'll discuss it more and more.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
That is absolutely phenomenal, and 100% agree with you on that, because that is something that I personally practice even in my own home. I make sure that even when I'm speaking, and I have grown sons, so like just even when I spoke to them, I was always upfront and said exactly what it was. And then you honed in on another point about the body parts. That's something too that I actively practice within my home. I say exactly what it is. Like, don't touch, that's the penis, or that's a vagina. Like, just giving those exact terms, just so that they don't miss that when they're trying to explain what is happening to them. So absolutely, I absolutely love what you just said. So thank you so much for that. You just segue right into like our next kind of conversation as we were talking about sexual health and social well-being and how that's related to sexuality. And we're talking about our physical, emotional, our mental stance when it comes to sexual health. So let's kind of get into like our emotional part of when it comes to sexual health. Like, why do you think, like, when it comes to the emotional part, how do you think that emotional health, sexual health can interfere with your sexual experience and well-being?
Well, when we discuss emotions and how that impacts, sexuality and your sexual well-being and your overall perception of sex itself, that's a lot to unpack. And I don't think that is able to be answered simply, but to just try and, put it in perspective. Women, when we talk about sex in general, we have to take into consideration that person's experience, their education around sex, their exposure to sex, and on top of that, the things that impact their views of sex. Not everyone has the same, views on sex. There's some religions and cultures that have, where sex is truly something. This conversation would be inappropriate. This type of talking and dialogue would be forbidden. And we just have to really be absolutely, KK. We have to definitely be very sensitive when we talk about emotions. Unfortunately, when we're having these types of conversations, it's very fun. It's one of my favorite topics. Side note, I was just sidebar. When I was in middle school, I used to love Human Growth and Development Week. I don't know if that happened with y'all, but we would get like taken out of class, and all the boys would have to go away, and then we'll have like just all the girls. Oh my God, like I loved it, and not from a sexual perspective, but I was just so intrigued by like, wow, your body works like this, and wow, because I don't know if she was supposed to, she wasn't, but I loved her for it because she really truly gave facts and truly scientific and healthcare based facts. This happens because of this. This is released because of that. If you do this, this will happen. I loved it. That was my favorite part of school. I was like, "Oh, Human Growth and Development Week is coming. I'm on time. I'm not late. I'm trying to get to my class. I need to listen." But we have, with that being said, emotions and things that people are exposed to. There's people that abuse children. There's people that have adults that have experienced abuse when it comes to sexuality, when it comes to their experiences. So to just say, what is the emotional impact and how that influences, that's different for everyone. So if you were never exposed to abuse as a child or as an adult, that's easy for us to just associate healthy, happy, loving feelings and fun and all the endorphins that are biologically released and all these happy things that are released. But for others that have a emotional trauma, that can be triggering for them. That can be triggering to a lot of people that have dealt with, emotional sexual abuse, molestation, rape. So emotions is a humongous factor that as women, in particular, have to be very careful at how we approach that subject, because it's not a one and done, because my emotions and my baggage that comes with sex may be very different from yours and Becky's and our audience members, because we never know truly what a person's history is or what their traumas are, or it could just be truly happy. So, not to dampen the mood, but to be honest with you, emotions attached to sex is so much to unpack. And it varies from person to person. So biologically, sure, when we have sex, we orgasm, we have endorphins released. These are, the happy chemicals that are released when we have sex, and that triggers a happy response, or this feeling of euphoria. However, that can vary for many people, and that just the talking about sex can truly be emotionally triggering as well as physiologically triggering. And yeah.
So it's definitely one of those things that I think that many people probably don't necessarily combine together the thought of like how those emotions, and just to listen to you speak on how it's not a simple thing, you know, it's not a one and done type thing. It is unique to everybody individually for their own experience, but it's not something that I often hear people talk about or discuss in that manner. Like, hey, this is emotionally, and this can lead to even dysfunctions in the way that I perceive the way, you know, I have sex, or the way that I even, not even in the physical act, just the intimacy act of just being around someone. So thank you so much for unpacking that question the best way you could. And so I really appreciate that. Go ahead, Beck.
Absolutely. So I was kind of thinking the same thing because you touched on the emotional and the mental health side. But I know a lot of times as you get older and your bodies change, the physical aspect or the physical act of sex can be very different. How do you encourage women to maybe either navigate, hey, I just had a baby, I'm not in the mood, or, you know, I'm going through menopause and it's changing, or I'm just want to have sex all day, so I don't know why my sex drive is so high. How do you talk to those women, or how do you encourage those women?
So forums just like this. This is the type of way that I like to conduct any type of patient interaction. Majority of my patient population is women in my current practice, and just really truly having open, honest, true dialogue, and just being patient with ourselves. Because again, as women, as professionals, as wives, it's not always so simple to just be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna have sex. It doesn't work like that. When we're going through physiological changes, and I'm glad that you mentioned pregnancy, having a baby, women react differently. There's some women that are like, oh my God, I need it, I need to have it, I'm thinking about it, I need to have it. It's like a craving. And then there's other women, it's like an aversion, like, please don't talk to me, don't touch me, don't look at me, don't even think you're gonna get none, because it's just how their bodies perceive it. Again, it's so funny that when we think about the different ways that we treat women's sexual dysfunction and the way that we treat men's sexual dysfunction is very different. So when we talk about men sexual dysfunction and erectile dysfunction, to name a disorder, we have to figure out whether it's physiological or psychological, right? We have to say, okay, well, do you still get an erection in the mornings? Do you still, you know, can you last, or whatever the case is, right? We have this big market that everybody knows about, and everybody talks about Viagra and Cialis so casually, because typically it's a quick fix. We like, okay, there's something wrong with the blood flow. We need to fix the blood flow. We need to, you know, give you this pill. Let's dilate this. Let's vasodilate that. Because it's more so with men, always physiological. They've gotten older. You know, their testosterone is off. It could be, you know, blood pressure medication, stuff like that. With women, there's a medication called Addii. And that medication is approved for women that have low libido, you know, low sex drive, and, you know, they don't have the same desire, and they're not postmenopausal, they're premenopausal. So we're talking about women that are 18 and over, you know, right before menopause, because that is truly an age range where women do have these dysfunctions, but it's just always hush hush. We don't talk about it. There's nothing wrong with you. And the funny part about it is that medication started off as an antidepressant. And we learned that medication helps with sexual desire, libido, and all those things. So that just tells you right then and there that it starts here for us. It's not there. It's not a physiological thing. Usually it works, but it's our mind, because we have to be in a mood. We have to be stimulated. We have to be attached for the most part. There's women that, of course, when we talk about different women, we talk about trauma, and we talk about sex workers and things like that. It's not that they don't function in the same way that we do as, you know, what we call our average everyday woman. It's that they've learned to control their mind so that they can detach themselves from that emotional aspect. It's not that it still doesn't happen. It's that they've made themselves emotionally detached. or they have to function in an emotionally detached state, which is why a lot of times you go into a club and you will see that these women are, usually prostitutes and strippers. They are usually on drugs because they have to be in a unaware state in order to do the things that they need to do. Because as women, we usually have to have a type of emotional connection. We have to have some type of desire. We have to be in tune with our mind versus our bodies for it to work, because it's not just the mechanism like, how men, and not bashing men, we love men, not bashing men, but the way that their bodies work is it's a reaction. They get, an erection. Whereas with us, we have to be lubricated. So it takes a lot more to get us lubricated than it takes a man to get an erection. And it always starts here. When we have things going on in our minds and our lives, we automatically think, oh my God, something's off. Let me go to the doctor. Let me, get a pap. Let me see what's wrong. But you know what? It could be that you're stressed. So you can't undo what you got going on in your mind. So sex is low on the totem pole. It could be your man is cheating. A lot of times when we think about erectile dysfunction in men, we think of what's going on, why is it not working? Let's run some labs. Let's see what your testosterone is like, what's going on. With women, the first question that we ask, well, how's your home life? What's your stress level like? Has anything changed in your life recently? Because now we know that that's usually where the imbalance is in our minds. And so that's, just to circle back around, when I have women that come and say, you know what, I'm having vaginal dryness. And I say, well, what's different? Well, I started this doctorate program. Okay. Are you stressed? Yeah, of course. Are you, I have a test this weekend. When you have your stress levels here, the last thing you're really thinking about, not that you're not attracted to your partner, is just like, I have a million things to do. The last thing that I can think, like, women start thinking like, okay, I need to take 20 minutes to have sex, but I really got, the kids need to eat, they need to take a shower, I got a meeting, I got to, be up for work in the morning. So we start to make sex into a chore, and now it becomes it's no longer pleasurable. It becomes like something else on the to-do list, which it shouldn't be. So I always tell my clients, really take a step back and unpack what's going on with you emotionally. Give yourself grace. You just had a baby. You're a mom. You're working. You're a wife. Our husbands are not always on their best behavior. Sometimes they get on our nerves. So we have to give ourselves grace, and we have to understand that we're not broken. It's just we're going through something. And until we understand it for ourselves, it's very hard to sex with women. We always have to share our bodies. We have to share our bodies to give birth, right? We have to share it for 9 months, 10 months with another human to bring them into the world. When we're having intercourse, we have to allow somebody else to enter our bodies, right? It's not we're entering someone else's body. We have to allow somebody to enter our body. So we're always sharing our bodies. So it's okay to not be, in the mood. It's okay to say, I'm overwhelmed. So taking that time for yourself and just truly loving yourself and really being attracted to yourself is the first step. Looking in the mirror and being attracted to yourself, because we always ask for the outside world to accept us, but do we really accept ourselves? And do we like what we look like in the mirror? Do we find ourselves to be sexually attractive? Do we find ourselves to be appealing? And if we don't, then we already know where the homework starts. Here first.
Absolutely. Ooh, dropping them nuggets, right? You gotta have your mind right, when you're thinking about that. That's so deep on a whole nother level. That again, something else that like someone said, amen, well said, the information is healing, because a lot of people don't even think about how your one thing can lead to another, and it also affect the way that you're feeling outwardly. We just, as women, who I just feel like we are like the mule carriers of the world on everything, we just pick it up and we just keep going, and we just let people talk to us crazy. Oh, you ain't want to, you don't want to do this, you don't want to do that, that type of thing. And you're absolutely right, it'll end up being a task. Like, nobody wants to be a task to have sex. That doesn't make sense. It should be a act that you enjoy. So absolutely. So we did have a question. from one of the viewers. Miss KK said, "Can you speak to shame around sex in the purity movement in the church? If do you have knowledge on that piece for Miss KK?"
Sure. So religion is a whole other, probably a whole nother show. And I can't speak from another community of people because I can only speak for as African American women and that religion and what I've observed, especially when we get into Caribbean descent and when we get into very southern, where we get back to those generational curses and we get back to those things of it's taboo, and which is why I feel like we as a race of women, we don't embrace our sexuality. And it's so hard for us to embrace our sexuality because we've always been ashamed or shamed about our bodies and always told cover up and don't do this and don't act like that and you fast or you grown. And when it's truly a part of, take that moment to explain to your child what she's feeling. Don't shoo it under the rug. Don't make her feel ashamed. And I feel like, just to briefly touch on it, we've had so many kids and women that are victims of these church purity movements or, sexuality, and we've had so many things that have been swept under the rug. And not that because it's not happening, because we can't talk about it, we've been so afraid to speak about it, that even when something is happening to us, we're in a state of shame that we won't even say I'm being abused, or this man is talking to me crazy, or he's doing something to me crazy. Because it's like, if we even mention sex, and when we go back to Southern Baptist, I'm not Caribbean as far as descent. My family is Southern from Georgia. So a lot of that good old Baptist teaching is where you don't talk about you don't talk about sex with your daughters. You don't talk about sex with, your mama. You don't come to your mama, no matter if you're married, you're grown, whatever. You don't have that discussion with your mom about sex. It's disrespectful. And that goes back to, I feel like, and from my, my knowledge, just the church and how you should be saving yourself and how you should be, if you do that, that's a sin and you're not going to get into the kingdom of heaven. And, those are for Jezebels and all kind of stuff that is like, but it's still happening. It's still happening. It's not that it's not happening. It's just that we're ashamed to talk about it. And therefore there's a plethora of communication, misinformation, and people dying for knowledge that we're getting it from all other aspects as opposed to the correct source, and as opposed to really touching on talking to our girls and talking to them. And it goes back to having that conversation when you're little. And we're not saying, I'm never telling people like, let's talk to a 5-year-old about, sex and orgasms. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what's normal and what should be happening. What is this and who should be doing this to you, and when should we be talking about this? And you're going to have feelings. You may feel this, you may feel that. And I'm with you. Vagina is a vagina is a vagina, and a penis is a penis. We don't play the pocketbook, and we don't play none of that. It doesn't happen, because now you're confusing your child and you're confusing them on those verbiage and those languages. So now you can't really decipher if they're trying to tell you something happened to their pocketbook, but you're really thinking that we're talking about a pocketbook and we're not talking about a vagina. There's nothing that could be mistaken for the word vagina. Mm-hmm. A 2-year-old saying vagina, that's a red flag. Let's talk about it. A 4-year-old saying vagina, let's talk about it. Pocketbook could be truly a pocketbook. So like, how do you decipher? And that leaves room for interpretation. So when we get into sexuality, religion, that shame that's around it, I think that having dialogues like this and having women of a different generation come in and impart that knowledge and remove the shame and remove the veil off of, sexuality, and have that conversation with them. Am I saying condone premarital sex? Am I saying condone, any of those things? No, it's okay to have religion and to, uphold your religious beliefs and instill that in your children by all means. But to shame them about something that's natural and that God created, to continue to flourish the earth and, to have us reproduce. How could that be something that's shameful? That's something that's beautiful. And we have to teach our daughters how to use their power and equip them to use their power in the right ways and not just tell them that it doesn't exist, because it does.
All right now.
You are telling it all. You putting it all out there, honey. This is a conversation. We are talking about sex, and that is so needed, because it is a lot of different things that come up between church or in families, the hush hush or the misnaming of your private parts. This information is key, like Bridget is saying, and this is going to help a lot of women. So I just want to ask you something more about the physical side of the sexual health. What does it mean to have a good physical sexual health? And is having sex every day, is it healthy? Is it not healthy? Like, what is it?
Okay, so let's talk about the anatomy of the vagina, right? Because we hear, first thing is first. Let me come in a little bit closer. Hold on a second. So first thing is first, we have to understand what the vagina is. So the vagina is actually the birth canal. Okay, so like we get confused about the vulva and the vagina. The vagina is your actual birth canal. That is the muscular structure. That is the vaginal opening, right? Your vulva is the outside part, which you can see. So that includes, the mons pubis, that includes, your labia and all of those things. So let's just talk about that. When we talk about sex and frequency of sex and all of those things, I think that it's very important that, again, we don't generalize it, because for everybody that can mean something different, because again, it's organs, it's muscles, there's a genetic component to it. There's people that are genetically predisposed to, weakened pelvic floors, weakened pelvic floor muscles, that other people can have 10 and 15 kids and they're fine. And then you have other women that can have one child and their whole pelvic floor collapses. So that's something that, again, having these conversations and not only get into the fun part and the ooh girl part, but actually talking about and unveiling some of those things that are misinformation or that are truly we don't know about. As Black women, before I got into, the medical field, I had no idea what pelvic floor physical therapy was at all. No clue. Then as you get into it, you're like, oh wow, we have ligaments that hold up our pelvic floor, right? As we have a baby, we have these big old bellies, these humans floating around in there for 10 months, and they heavy. Some of y'all have 10-pound babies. Some of y'all have some big old babies. So we have these babies that's floating around, we waddling, we carrying them around. How do you think they're just suspended in gravity? They're not just being held up there with like a supernatural, force. They're being suspended by ligaments and musculature. So when we give birth to this baby, that's a trauma to our bodies. That's a force. We're forcefully exposing somebody out of our body. So when you say, Trisha, if I'm saying that right, you still don't. Pelvic floor physical therapy is when you have when you strengthen your pelvic floor. So that means that you are actually not just doing Kegels. Kegels is a form of pelvic floor physical therapy, but there's so much more. We're now learning about vaginal rejuvenation. We're learning about all of these different things that can go in and actually tighten up the vaginal canal. However, Kegels should be something that should be taught to your daughter when she's a teenager. How to we exercise everything else. We exercise, we run, we do all these things, but we don't exercise our vaginal floor. Why? We don't make sure that those muscles are strong. Why is that? So now when we put strain on it and we wonder why everything is collapsing, well, because we neglected it. We want to use it every day, but we don't strengthen it and we don't exercise it every day. So could you have sex every day? Sure. Is it something that I would personally recommend? No, I believe in giving your body a break, allowing your body to recover. And again, we have to share our body. So it's okay every once in a while to be selfish and say not today. We're not going to share today. We're going to cleanse. We're going to, recover. We're going to recuperate. Because again, once that pelvic floor starts weakening, that's when we have issues. And we have vaginal and uterine prolapse. We have bladder prolapse, where our uterus is literally falling out of the vaginal canal. And so now at that point, we have two options where we can go in and we can do ligament suspension, where we have to basically take your ligaments of the pelvic floor, suspend that, and try and hold up the uterus at that point. Or what a lot of women opt to do is just a hysterectomy. And it's not that it's just women in their 50s, 60s, 70s that are having hysterectomies. There's young girls that's having hysterectomies in their 30s because their pelvic floor is so damaged. Those ligaments are so loose. And then we lead into, that's a self-conscious issue. That's an issue of sexuality. Your uterus is falling out of your vagina. Do your man really understand? He gonna be like, what is wrong with, what in the world? You know what I mean? He ain't gonna be like, oh yeah, that's just because we have sex all the time. No, he's gonna think something's wrong. What's going on? And if you don't know, you also don't know what's going on. So therefore, having sex every day, is it a crime? No, it's not a crime. Should you take time to, really understand your body and give your body the time that it needs to heal, recover, rejuvenate? And that doesn't mean going in and zapping it with a laser, but it just means going in and cleansing yourself and giving your body that time that it needs. We allow wounds to heal. We allow all these things to heal, but our vagina needs the time to heal, which is why we have a cycle. That's a cleansing process. It has nothing to do. Yeah, it's about reproduction, but guess what? That's our body's way of cleansing that organ, cleansing our vaginas by allowing impurities and all of those things that have built up to be expelled out of our body. So I'm all here for whatever your choice is, but just make sure that you're making that choice and you're being very knowledgeable about it.
Absolutely. That's dope. Like you is, I know we is really trying to get a whole lot of information in a little bit of time. It's because we only have her for a short time, but we're going to keep going. If you have questions for her, drop your questions in the comments, right? We definitely want to be able to get you all some great questions. She just answered KK's questions, and she got you, Trisha, on that question about what you were talking about, like still don't. So she got you on that as well. I got another question when it comes to sexual satisfaction. When I know you see patients and you talk to women, like how does that in your like most common, and I know every woman's uniquely different, but if you had to kind of like generalize for us when it comes to sexual satisfaction, like how important or how relevant is that to women?
I think that sexual satisfaction is something that should be more relevant, and it should be something that is prioritized. Because again, we talked about how emotions are involved and how this whole mental, tango happens. If you're doing something that you do not enjoy, are you really going to want to do it? You're not. It's not fun. Like, who wants to? I don't want to have sex and I'm not going to get anything out of it. That really sounds like it should be on the to-do list, because it's something that I'm doing for you. It's not for me because I'm not enjoying it.
Right.
So now when we talk about where, we always like to say, well, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. But could it be that truly it's, let's talk to your husband. Let's talk about, your sexual satisfaction. So we got through, no, I'm not really stressed at work. Oh, no, I'm not this, or no, I'm not that. And then we talk, well, how is your sex life? Do you enjoy sex? Well, And it's like, well, okay, well, that's a problem, because it's not all about, reproduction, and it's not about men's pleasure. It should also be about yours, because especially when you're in a marriage, it should be something that you guys enjoy doing, that is your time. And it's something that makes you feel good, just like your spouse. And I think that women don't prioritize it enough. There's so many women that I've heard where they say they don't orgasm, or they never had an orgasm, or they don't enjoy having sex, or, sex is painful, things like that, where it's like, well, you're in this marriage, you with your spouse or whomever, your boyfriend, whatever the case is, like, what are we getting out of it if you're not getting pleasure? If we're not just trying to have a baby, because, you get a particular age, You don't want to have a baby. Like, you truly are, we doing this for now. We done fulfilled our contribution to the earth. Put some humans out here. And now what else is there to do? You have sex for pleasure, for emotional connection to your partner, to your spouse. So I feel like women not all women. There are some women that definitely prioritize their sexual, satisfaction, and make sure that they do have that conversation. But because, again, it's so taboo, and depending on the type of man, the type of culture, and the type of background that he has, it can be like very unattractive for a woman to say, like, you didn't please me. I didn't come. I didn't, this the third night this week that I'm frustrated. I'm sexually frustrated. Right. Not every woman has that ability to go to their partner and be like, "What's up? Are you okay? Is everything okay?" Because like this,
right?
Not everybody can. In so many cultures, that having this kind of conversation is good, Maria. Having this kind of conversation can be very offensive to a man. And when we have women that we're very liberal here in the United States, we're very liberal women, our men for the most part are accustomed to, how we do things, some more than others, but for the most part we do have, most women have the ability to talk about it, to come on a platform like this, to have a girlfriend, or have that conversation with their physician if they feel comfortable, with their doctor, whatever. But at home, they're not always allowed to. So what do you do for that woman that, she really can't tell her man that he's not pleasing her? How do you navigate that? What do you guys think? Because I think that's a tough situation from a provider standpoint. I can only do so much. I can only say, okay, well, let's focus on you. Let's focus on this, because remember, it's two people involved. So, yeah, go ahead. I want to know.
That's a tough one. And for you, this is the one time I go right back to what you say. That each woman is uniquely different, because I would even admit, like in past relationships, the sacrifice. That's the part that I can think about. The sacrifice that women will undergo to be in a position with their significant other. They will neglect certain aspects of their own life in order to please someone else. Again, I think that because we tend to put ourselves on the back burner quite often, we'll go through life unsatisfied, not only, sexually, but in other ways of life, financially just disturbed, all kinds. We will take a whole back seat mentally, physically, whatever. Our body's not looking right, we will just let our bodies go the way, just feeling helpless, in that thought process. And I think because of that, because of the guilt of the burden that we sustain sometimes, I would say that's why a lot of women will go through life and be completely unsatisfied and just settling throughout of it. Becky, what you think?
I agree, but then I think too, it's like, once again, bringing up that shaming piece for women who say, hey, no, I want to be pleased, or I'm going to be with who I want to be with because that's what I want to do. Then it's like you go for the other end of the spectrum. Now you shame for embracing your sexuality or going for what you want or getting what you want, because women shouldn't do that. That's not what we do. You know what I mean? And so I think it's a lot of people that's either on one end of the spectrum. And it's unfortunate that if you do like embrace and say, hey, this is my goal, I'm going to have sex and it's going to be pleasurable and I'm going to get mine and this, that, and the third, and you look at as a little loose. And then if you're not, then you like maybe sacrificing your own personal experiences just to accommodate the partner. So I think it's just kind of like a double-edged sword. But I'm happy for the people who have found the middle ground. That seems like that would be the best place.
I think that platforms like this, even though we're joking about it, but platforms like this are the middle ground, because sometimes it's two edges. Like now, you have your dominatrix that they way out there, they get their pleasure, and then you have the people who suffer in silence, and then we have this middle ground where maybe they are from a background where it was taboo, but having women like ourselves that are comfortable in our sexuality and comfortable enough to come out and say like, no, this is a priority, and hey, like, this is normal, what you're feeling is okay, and having that maybe encourages them to, you know, if that means having that discussion with their spouse, or if that means to seek it out in other ways, because it's more than one way, like my grandma say, to skin a cat. So you don't necessarily have to, you know, go against what your religion is or whatever that is, or, you know, if your man just ain't into it, then, and you understand that and you've accepted that there's more than one way. So that's why platforms like this, that it brings light to, this is okay for you. And if you are struggling with this, this is, you know, there's things that can help you. There's people that you can talk to. There's things that you can pleasure yourselves. I feel like us as modern women, working women, women that do put sexuality at the forefront, that do make, you know, being pleased a priority, and have the ability to go out and have that conversation with other women, whether that is, you know, in a patient, you know, physician, practitioner dialogue, or girlfriend, or just a platform like Say It Sis, where you have different women that's telling you this is okay. You don't have to be the latter, and it's nothing wrong with you feeling the way that you feel. So this to me is the middle ground where, you know, we're not judging, we're not swaying you in one way or the other. We're giving you facts, our opinion, our perception, and we're letting you know that it is okay, whichever way you go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you are saying that, as we say it, sis. You are saying that. We're going to take some of these questions from the viewers, because I know they've been waiting patiently. We're going to go start with Trisha. She says, do you believe these yoni supplements are necessary?
Okay, so Trisha, when you say yoni supplements, right? So there's so many different things. So I do believe that women's supplements like Naked is necessary, because not only are we addressing, it's not always about the sex, right? It's about the hormonal balance. And a lot of times as women, we go again through different stages in our lives. We're not the same at 20 that we are at 30, at 50, at 60, and or at 16, you know what I mean? So we're going through ups and downs in our hormones. So it's very important that we make sure that, you know, with those supplements, I feel like I can speak to my supplement. It's it's very natural. So everything in it are all natural ingredients. We have Damiana, macaroot, we have ashwagandha, we have different things, which I made sure that it was very important that we had a proprietary blend, because it's not just enough to, there's people that, you know, take maca root or horny goat weed, for example, because it gives you lubrication and it, you know, makes you turned on and aroused. But then we talked about we're not one dimensional. We're so multi-dimensional. So what about me being in the mood? Ashwagandha is a natural antidepressant, right? Mm-hmm. It's been used in medicinal medicine in Western Africa, in Asia, in India for years, because they don't really have a CVS that they can go to and say, hey, can you prescribe me Addy? Because, you know, I'm not in the mood. They kind of got to make it work and do what it do for years and centuries, right? So sometimes we have to get back to our roots when we think of supplements. We take vitamin C because we don't want a cold. We take zinc because we're trying to ward off corona. But then we would say, well, I'm not going to take maca root for my vagina because I don't think it's necessary. Well, do you think that having a hormonal imbalance is not necessary? We go years and years and years with functioning on whatever, however we are, and functioning however the wind blows us. And then when we say, okay, well, these are supplements that are, you know, really good for balancing your vaginal health. And again, not just sexuality. Now it's a caveat that it, you know, makes you feel good and heighten, you know, those senses, but it's also about just making sure that your hormones are in balance, that your odor is in balance, that we're doing probiotics. That's a thing. You have vaginal flora. You have good bacteria in your vagina. You have bacteria. You have yeast. It lives there. That's where it resides. When we have issues is when we have overgrowth and imbalances, and that's what we don't understand. When our pH is off, our vagina functions at an acidic level, right? We're acidic, and men semen is basic, right? So when we talk about pH and we talk about chemistry, your vagina should be, at, sort of a acidic level. So when we talk about bacteria, right? What can survive? I always talk to my patients in this aspect and I tell them about it. I say, what can grow? Where can bacteria grow best? In milk or in vinegar?
Oh, in milk.
Milk.
Oh, okay. So if your vagina is supposed to be acidic and we do these things, we have a new partner, we use, different soap, we, wipe wrong, and now we introduce this bacteria and we dropped our pH. Now we've turned our vagina from being the vinegar that's warding off all the bad stuff to now we've made it milk. So now everything that's opportunistic is going to come and it's going to invade. We think that yeast is something that just all of a sudden just came from the toilet seat. No, it was in your vagina. But however, you knocked off your pH. BV is not an STD. We have so many women that come in, oh my God, I got a smell and blah, blah, blah. And, okay, well, it's BV. Are you taking care of your sexual, your female parts? Is your pH off? Is your pH normal? When you look inside your undies, do they look bleached? And you don't put bleach on your undies. Why is that? Because our pH is off. So now your body is throwing off those signals. It's showing you, it's giving you, it discharges for a reason because it's trying to fix itself. So when we talk about supplements, when we talk about probiotics, when we talk about these things, I always encourage you to know what you're taking, know what you're putting into your body, and do research. Any reputable company that wants you to take their supplements or buy their supplements, they're going to have the ingredients and they're not going to be ashamed about it. I have my ingredient. I want you to read up on my ingredients. I want you to go in naked and flip the bottle around and be like, oh, wow, this is cool. Let me research it. I never heard of Trabilis. I never heard of Damiana. I never heard of ashwagandha. I never heard of maca root. What does it do? Research it. That this is a natural supplement that encourages, lubrication. It encourages, back in the days, the Mayans and the African cultures, they would want fertility. They would want our women to be fertile. We want to have babies. We want to encourage this. They would make, mixtures of things to encourage, fertility and encourage, all of these things to happen. So when did we become so disconnected from that to where now it's like, if it's not a prescription, I don't want it.
Right.
When did natural become like suspect?
Right.
Like we're more suspicious about a vitamin than we are about a Z-Pack. Like my patients will come in and be like, oh, can I get a Z-Pack? Can I get an antibiotic? But then when you talk to them about like vitamins and hydration and, these things, they're like, oh, no, I don't really, no, I'm all right.
Well, I definitely think too that goes along with what you were saying, the taboo thing and the over sexualization of us as women and the way we have wide hips and we have big breasts and all these things that they're like, oh, okay, put your shirt over your hips so you don't show you, like just certain things that people come and tell us to dumb down on. Don't show this, don't look that way, little girl, you too chunky, this type of thing. I think us making something that's normal not normal, it also makes us mentally feel like our body needs to be shaped a certain way. We need to sink our stomachs and our hips and just all kinds of stuff that instead of embracing what is naturally us, and that's beautiful. Let's go real quickly. We have Miss Angie. She says, how does your body cleanse itself once one has had a hysterectomy?
Okay, so very good question. And postmenopausal as well, because if you no longer, menstruate any longer, I was trying to follow the comments, but once you no longer menstruate, any longer, then we do get rid of that tad bit of, I guess, that cycle to for lack of a better word. Now, that doesn't mean that your body no longer self-cleanses, because remember, we talked about it. Discharge. You still have a discharge. Now, if you got rid of your uterus altogether, if you no longer have, because there's different types of hysterectomies, ladies. So you can have a partial hysterectomy. You can have a total hysterectomy. We talking about an oophorectomy with, oophorectomy means that we remove your ovaries. We have your cervix is gone, your uterus is gone. That's a total hysterectomy. So when we think about hysterectomy, we have to be understand what that means. So your body typically, depending on the type of hysterectomy that you have, you will still have discharge. You're still going to, that's your body's way of getting whatever's in it out. It's still going to react the way that it was going to react. Remember, I always tell my patients all the time when they come in and they're like, oh, I want to have a hysterectomy because I'm not going to be a woman no more. And I'm like, why? Because the uterus is just a muscle. It does nothing for your hormones. It is a place that you store your baby for 9 months. And once you no longer are going to plan on having a baby, I had one lady that was having, postmenopausal bleeding. She was like 70, right? So when I came in, I was like, why are you still holding on to this uterus? And she's like, oh, I don't want to. So I tell her, I said, well, you gonna have a baby? And she just thought I was just laughing, she was just down laughing because she's 70. So, she found it hilarious. But I'm like, get rid of your uterus. Like, why are you holding on to something that's just meant for reproduction? Your uterus is a muscle, it holds your baby, it feeds your baby while it's there. But your ovaries is what regulates your hormones. It's not your uterus. You can still keep your ovaries and you will not go into menopause. You remove your uterus, that's just a muscle. You can keep your cervix if you like. Some people feel like if they remove their cervix, then they don't no longer have, they're not a full woman. That's stuff that I feel like is just so crazy that we've been fed over the years, that you have to have all these working parts. And that goes back to understanding what it does, understand why we have it, and being in charge of what we feel. So if you're bleeding and you're having postmenopausal bleeding, get rid of the uterus and enjoy your best life. Live your best life. As far as to answer Miss Angela's question, your body still will cleanse itself. Your body will still do what it's supposed to do because it's always in a state of protection. Your body's always going to be in a state of protection. So it's going to adapt to the fact that there's no more cycle. And it's going to still continue to cleanse itself. But we just have to make sure, again, where we're diligent, where we're keen on our body. We understand what's normal, what's not normal, what this color discharge means versus this discharge, what this amount of discharge means versus that discharge. Making sure that we're ingesting healthy things. We're hydrated, making sure that we're not feeding our body a bunch of crap and a bunch of sugar that it can't process. And now we're having an overgrowth of these things. So your body's still going to cleanse itself. You're still going to have discharge. You're still going to, your body's still going to be in an acidic, your vagina is still going to be acidic as it should be. And you just have to make sure that you're keeping your pH on balance. So something that I recommend all the time is a probiotic. Not necessarily daily, but I always tell my patients maybe 2 times a week as just like maintenance, just to give your natural flora a boost, to make sure that it's functioning the way that it needs to function. So that way when a foreign bacteria or fungus or yeast invades that area, that it's able to fight it off.
All right. You're giving all the knowledge. I'm so excited. So I just want to, before we break, because we almost coming up to the end of our time, but I want to give you an opportunity to explain to us about the Naked. You kind of briefly talked about the Naked supplement. Can you kind of give us a little bit more detail about it, how we can purchase it, and what it helps with?
Yes, absolutely. So Naked is a supplement that is that was formulated for female hormonal balance, as well as, again, like we've been talking about this whole time, just really empowering women to get the most out of their sex life. So not only does it keep your hormones balanced, it also helps with heightening orgasm, heightening your satisfaction, your pleasure, making your sexual organs more sensitive. That includes your nipples, that includes your clitoris, that includes the actual act of sex, making it more sensitive. So these natural vitamins and supplements actually help produce, blood flow and help it to go to the right area, help your clitoris to be engorged, to help your nipples be more sensitive. So that way your hormones are in balance, and that while you're having sex, that you have that, that desire, to have sex. And while you're in the act of having sex, that you are actually at the top of your game, that you are, those organs are working for you, and it's very pleasurable. And again, Naked is meant to be taken daily. I always tell my clients, it's not Viagra. It's not Viagra. So you're not going to take it at night and it's just going to be popping. It took years sometimes for people to, build up all of this, low libido and lack of, sexual drive. So you're not going to correct those imbalances naturally over one night. However, again, taking these supplements, actually, feeding your body good things for you over time, you'll notice the difference. You'll feel the difference. And it doesn't hurt that it helps to heighten sexual pleasure as well.
Nice. Y'all
Oh, I'm sorry. The way you guys can purchase it is you can go to belfonhealth.com and you can send us a questionnaire. We actually removed Naked's ordering website because we wanted to incorporate it as one whole inside of Belfon Health, which is my metabolic concierge practice. So right now you can actually, go on Belfon Health. You can DM us at belfonhealth.com and we will definitely ship it out to you guys.
All right, y'all. But let me tell you before we let TYSHARRA go, right? TYSHARRA, you got a special thing when it comes to the supplement Naked, right? That you wanted to do for the viewers tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, we didn't get to, well, not yet. Let's talk on it really quick. So, I want for anybody to either put it in the chat or to send it to Say It Sis. So, I'm going to be giving out one free bottle of Naked the Supplement. We're going to be shipping it out to you guys, whomever. So, we're going to be talking about quick trivia, right? Has anybody ever heard of the O shot? You ladies, have y'all heard of the O shot?
No. I'm ready to learn.
All right. So when we're talking about female sexual pleasures, right? There's so many things. Like some of our ladies said, well, they didn't even know that women's sexual dysfunction was a thing. It's truly a thing. Do we capitalize on it like we should? We don't. Yeah, Maria. Yeah, Maria. So what the O shot is so this is a process, right? And this is how you guys are going to win. So you have to name 2 out of 3 places that we inject this special O shot, okay? So make sure y'all listening. So what the O shot is PRP. PRP stands for platelet-rich plasma, right? So platelet-rich plasma is when we take our blood. Now, this is our own blood. We take our blood and we draw it in a special tube and we spin that blood in a centrifuge. A centrifuge is a machine that separates the components of blood. So we have our red blood cells that we're always, we see because it's bright and red. And that's what, when you're anemic, we're always talking about, oxygen and blood and all that stuff. But did you know that there's a part of it that's called your platelets and your plasma? So that's usually how your body clots, right? You cut yourself, you don't bleed forever, unless you're on a blood thinner. You don't bleed forever. Eventually you cut yourself and then you may not even notice it. And then you look down and you have this dry blood, right? This little fibrin film of red blood because your body is going to go to any injury. We talked about your body being able to repair and regenerate itself. It's always in a state of trying to fix itself. So what we've done with modern science is we've learned to replicate this. So we've taken platelet-rich plasma. We draw your own blood, right? We spin it in our centrifuge and we separate the blood components. So we separate the white blood cells and the platelets and the plasma from the red blood cells. And within that platelet-rich plasma is growth factors. There's white blood cells that actually help to regenerate. There's fibrin, there's elastin, there's all of these things that stimulate and helps your body to naturally repair itself. So some smart scientists was like, well, how can we use this to help women out? What we do is we take that platelet-rich plasma, we draw it up in a syringe, and we actually inject it into the clitoris, the G-spot, into the vagina, and we actually can place it into the lips as well in the vagina and the clitoris. Look, Maria is not playing. So we actually can inject that back into the vagina. And with sessions, that helps to, number one, help the blood flow. It helps to beautify the vagina because we keep talking about, our body image and our image and all these things. Vaginas come in all shapes and sizes. They look different. Not one is all the same. There's truly big ones, small ones, long ones, round ones, everything. Like however you can imagine, that's how they come because we're all uniquely different and beautiful, right? So what we can do is we will put, we can inject it and we can help where we make the tissue, the lips actually, more beautiful. We make the skin more soft. We can put that inside of the vagina to stimulate blood circulation and growth factors to those parts. It's not painful. It's not painful. So we do numb you. We're not going to just go in there and with a needle, and it's a very small needle. So it's very small. We do numb the vagina. Yes, we do numb the vagina, and we use ice usually because we make it cold and we go in very quickly, and we do those little shots to the clitoris, to the vagina inside, and it heightens orgasms. It makes it more pleasurable, and it makes it more lubricated because again, we're making the body think that it needs to go there and work extra hard. So what your body's always trying to do, repair itself. So now we're simulating a fake injury, and we're saying, hey, flood the clitoris with all your growth factors, your proteins, your minerals. It needs your help. So your body does exactly that. It goes to the clitoris, it goes to the vagina, and it heightens that blood flow and sensitivity. So, and we do that here at BELFON Health. So if you guys are actually in the South Florida area, we do O shots. And there's one for men. It's called the P shot, where that helps them with erectile dysfunction when they no longer can get and maintain an erection. We actually use the PRP to help them as well, just not here.
So, ladies, it looks like when you were talking, Maria went ahead and typed in those injection spots. So Maria looks like she's the one that's going to be getting a bottle of the Naked supplement. So yes. Congratulations, Maria.
Congratulations, Maria.
Maria was like the only one that knew what they were about.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for
this. Having dialogue like this and just knowing and being aware of all the different things that are out there and available for us, and that we have sisters that are not, we're not here to judge, we're just here to educate and empower.
Hey. Absolutely. TYSHARRA, girl, that was a lot of information, sis. I mean, you are definitely a wealth of knowledge, right? A river flowing of so much information. And I could tell you were trying to get it in. Yeah, absolutely. And we just appreciate the fact that you came on the platform to educate us about, we went from, talking about, orgasm, sexual satisfaction to, emotional sexual health. We just went all over the place with that. And I just appreciate that you came in and you showed us and you talked about sex with us. Ladies, Becky.
I'm floored. I ain't even had sex in forever today, but I'm floored. I'm just excited for everybody.
Well, listen, but Becky, you can still benefit, honey. I need to go back. I would love to come back, Angela. You can
please come back. Please come back. And these are the kind of conversations that we want on this platform. We want women to be able to come into a space and not feel shame, not feel like, oh, I don't know if that's the right question to ask. Like, this is an open forum, so we can all feel empowered and emboldened with the information. And, you got a lot of good feedback. So I just want to see what these naked orders going to look like here coming up, and how many people going to be getting down to the med spa soon.
Yes, absolutely. And again, if you guys have questions, if you guys send it to Say It Sis, then I'm sure Santana and Becky will definitely shoot it over to me. I have no problem with answering any of you guys' questions. Again, I love what I do, so it's not about sales. It's not about none of that stuff. I just love this and having the opportunity to speak and just have a sister girl kind of night. Like, I like it. We definitely can do part 2 because we didn't get to talk about so many different things. We didn't get to talk about fibroids. We didn't get to talk about cysts. We didn't get to talk about body image. So maybe, we could do part 2. So
okay. Listen, if we do this part 2, right? I see how many viewers we got. I need y'all to bring some old ladies.
Bring them.
We all can benefit from this conversation. You know what I'm saying? And we can have more questions. We can talk more about these things because it's so important. It's so everybody's like, yes, please come back. Please come back. Like part 2, yes. So if we're gonna do a part 2, y'all gotta do y'all part, ladies, and we gotta bring more sisters out here to hear and converse say in the conversation. And maybe next time if and when we do the part 2, maybe we do it in a more we bring some of y'all on screen with us, you know what I mean? So we can talk and you guys can get that information firsthand. You can ask your own question, hit somebody some a date and time. I will have a crew. That's what I'm talking about.
Let's have a date night.
Thank you, Miss Rosa. I appreciate that. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. Again, yes, because I want to talk about.
Yes, ma'am. That's important. That's important.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, and the comments keep coming. Yes, and then we have Charmaine saying this is a lot of great info. Part 2 would be great. So we already see, TYSHARRA, we got to do part 2.
We got to be doing something regular. I like this. This is nice. I like
Let me
it.
tell you. And you know what? It's funny, right? I'm gonna say this because what I heard you were talking about, when it comes to like, I'm Christian. I'm just Christian, non-denomination, and I always tell, when you're talking about sex and stuff like that, they like, some people, in my background, my opinion, like, no, don't say that. I said, well, Christians can be sexy. That's how we get baby Christians, right? Right? You gotta think about what you're saying before you're doing it, right? It's important that we know that sex is natural. It's something that is there. Let's stop making it taboo.
Yeah, stop the shame, because it's supposed to happen. Like, what we're supposed to do? Like, how we gonna continue to, it's a part of life, and it's truly a part of any healthy relationship. If you don't have a healthy sex life, if you don't enjoy sex with your partner, then come back with more supplement giveaways too. Trisha, make sure you follow us at BELFON Health. We're always giving away stuff. I don't know if you guys are in the area or not, but we always have some fun and interesting stuff. I have to get more into the lives and things like that, but yes, I definitely would love to come back. I would love. Awesome! Wow, KK, that's amazing. That is amazing. And you're gonna be the person that changes. And Christians do have sex, yes, ma'am. You're gonna be the person that changes a lot of people's perspective, and take away that shame and that guilt from it. And again, with all things, we're not here on earth to judge. Yes, we got to talk about fibroids. We can't have a Black woman sexual health conversation without talking about fibroids. Fibroids, very debilitating for a lot of women. So, let's stop making it weird. And all right, Miss Angela.
She's so lit on the line.
Man, he made it good.
Yeah, we definitely have to make it something that is comfortable to talk about, and we have to break those stereotypical those gestures around it, and making people feel like it's not something that you could talk about. Because when we empower and we educate ourselves, then we're in control. And when we have a platform where we can continue to grow smart, strong women that are empowered, that you can't tell them nothing, because they already know, because they've gotten the information from the correct source. So we got to pull our kids out of the music videos and pull them off of the TikTok and all of this over sexualized, unrealistic things, and truly get them around women that are real women and are going through what they go through and have been where they've been. And it's going to be, I want to be like Miss Angela one day, because Miss Angela, like, she imparted some good old stuff over there. So I want to be like Miss Angela. And I mean, being a married woman, it's ups and downs, but having a platform like this is amazing. And maybe next time we'll touch about some fibroids. We'll talk about some things that play specifically Black women. And we didn't get to touch on it, but let's talk next time about like our men and how men play a part in how we perceive ourselves, how sexy we perceive ourselves, our body image. And yeah, let's unpack, girl. We got a lot of unpacking to do.
We got a lot to unpack, right? So
I'm excited.
We definitely have to make sure that we're, like she said, empowered. That's exactly what we want to do, is empower women, young girls, encourage them, embolden them with the knowledge, so that we aren't ashamed to talk about what's natural. And this is natural. This is natural.
This Absolutely is beautiful. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it.
Y'all share. If you haven't hit that heart button out there, if you haven't already, let me tell you, this video won't replay as many views as you guys make it. So make sure that you share this video to your page because it's a good bit of knowledge that was given tonight. Thank you again to TYSHARRA for being on the part of the platform.
Yes.
It means the world to us for you to have been here. Becky, you got something before we go to a commercial break?
I just want to thank TYSHARRA. This was an awesome day, and I'm just excited for part 2. I need to start getting my questions and stuff ready.
Yes, thank you, ladies. I appreciate it. It was so beautiful. Thank you guys for being patient. I got a million hats that I be juggling, but I wouldn't miss this for the world. I'm very, very excited. Thank you for connecting with us and really making it fun and sister girl like that's what we need. We need to make it fun and conversation. So I appreciate it. Thank you guys for being engaged out there. I'm so appreciative, and I'm happy that I was able to give you guys some knowledge, some pearls that you may go back and impart that wisdom on people in your community, girls, women, and your homies.
So again, y'all, give us some hearts, give us some loves. TYSHARRA, thank you so much again for being with us. And as we tell every woman, or as we close out every conversation or chat, we tell ladies to be 3 things. Becky, let's go ahead and tell her.
Let's tell them. We tell them to be beautiful, be loved,
and
to be heard.
And that's what we are here doing. So thank you so much, TYSHARRA. Continue to be beautiful, be loved, and be heard. Thanks, sis.
You guys too. Thank you. Have a good night, y'all.
Why do I need to be good all the time? I'm wrapped around his finger, but he is mine. Don't care what they say, too late anyway. Why do I need to be good all the time? No drama, yeah. No drama, yeah. No drama, yeah. No drama, yeah.
Hey, Becky, that was a great show.
It really was. I enjoyed myself. That was a good conversation.
Listen, y'all viewers, y'all always come through. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, as many times we've been doing this over the past 2.5 years, that the platform has been established. The viewers always show us the love. It's always dope. It's always beautiful. This is what we do. This is exactly what we do. So with that being said, y'all, we're not going to keep y'all much longer, but hold tight with us for 2 seconds. We just want to tell you guys about some phenomenal things that we got coming up. You want to make sure that you're paying attention to this because we got some good stuff that is coming up here on the platform. First of all, right, we already know that this is like Black History Month, right? We bought in the month talking about love and love, let's talk about sex, you know what I mean? So we can get you through that, Valentine's vibe. You know what I'm saying, Becky?
Yeah, Valentine's.
Valentine's, right? But so at the end of the month, what we'll be doing is we will be having we're going to have a special guest. So book club lovers, our book club lovers, how you doing out there, book club lovers? So remember our book club. Listen, we are going to have Miss Candice Shimbiri on the platform on February 26th at 10 a.m. If you have not gotten your book yet, if you have not started to read your book, it's a great read. Make sure that you go purchase your book and join the conversation that we have coming up on the 26th of February. Sis, you want to tell them about our Black History Month?
Hey, yes, we could not end the Black History Month without celebrating the life of this beautiful woman, Miss Henrietta Lacks. We got our special guest, our son, our nephew, Mr. Jameer Starks, a Howard University law student. He will be coming in and doing a live with us and talking about the life and the legacy of Miss Henrietta Lacks. You do not want to miss this live. Jameer is a phenomenal person, a phenomenal speaker, an educator, and I am just waiting to see what he is bringing. But if you don't know the story of Miss Henrietta Lacks, don't miss out on this event, because you want to know how this Black woman contributed to medical science all throughout the world.
Yes, that's so exciting. And so make sure that you guys join us. You tune in. This is what we're doing. Make sure. I see Miss Angie say, I'm reading it. Enjoy it, Miss Angie. And just so you know, Miss Candice is calling in from the UK. She lives in the UK. So everybody that's on and has gotten that book, we don't went international. Okay. So just make sure that you are on. She'll be logging in with us at 10 a.m. on the 26th, and you don't miss the great things we have. All right, Becky, tell them like, love, share, and subscribe.
There you go. You see all the links. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Say It Sis Incorporation. Like this video, share this video. We want to make sure that women all around the globe get access to this information. And this platform is for you all. So follow, share, subscribe, and spread the word that the sisters are here. And we ain't going nowhere. This for y'all. We're doing this for y'all. So join us.
Make sure you do that. I mean, we enjoy the love. Please get our viewership up. This is nice. This is all positivity that we're doing. And I'm gonna pull this up, Miss. Hey, Miss Iris, I'm so happy to hear in the comments. Right? She said she getting the book now, y'all. We be getting super excited about these things. Oh, I'm getting this book. Listen, get the book, read it, learn about our beautiful hair and locks and coils and curls. Just make sure you do that, all right? And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Becky, do you have anything else before we close out?
Until next time, be beautiful, be loved, and be heard. We love y'all. Thank you so much, ladies. Have a beautiful night.